Well, good morning. I don't like how the music fades out. I kind of wish it kept going. But good morning. Welcome to Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue. Every morning, talk video games, video game news, what I've been playing, all that kind of stuff. But before we get started, let me do one thing real quick because I just wanted to test and make sure something is happening the way it should be. You know how it is with all this stuff. And yeah, it looks like it is happening the way it should be. Let me double check it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. Let's get into this. There was a news item from yesterday I completely forgot to cover, so we'll cover that today. Let me pull up my exo phase. Is that what we're calling it now? I mean, yeah, that's what it's called. Bam. Oh, I need to. Why doesn't it default? There we go. Oh, that's cool. It's showing one of the games I played, I guess, on Xbox. Oh, because it goes by platform instead of all up, maybe. Because, yeah, I did play something else yesterday, and it's not showing up. I wonder if I have to. Let me do this. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's start with yesterday. Yesterday was the 8th. I started with some Batman Arkham Knight. Why did I play that? Well, the Batman bug has bit me recently. What was it? I was watching the Flash movie, and I loved the Michael Keaton Batman. And then, so I had beaten Arkham Knight back in like 2015, 2016, like a little bit after it came out. And what was interesting about that was, I think right after I beat it, yeah, it must have been 2015 or something, because then they came out with the Batfleck suit costume you could wear. And I remember I got it but never used it because I had already beaten the game. So then I went back to it yesterday, and they had the Robert Pattinson Batman. From the Batman, they have his suit. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I was running around playing that, and the game is... It reminded me of why I didn't do a lot of the side missions, because I still have the side missions to do. It's just sometimes it incorporates the Batmobile, and then it becomes like a little mini game instead of like an actual like brawler. And then I guess since I've played a lot of Spider-Man since then, I've seen where that combat has evolved. And I kind of wish that Rocksteady was able to make a proper sequel to the game, to the Arkham Knight, because they came out with the Suicide Squad, and while some people say that it's okay, I mean it's not. That's a shooter, it's not what the Batman games were. So that's a little weird, but it's too bad. It's too bad. Hopefully one day we get one that kind of moves forward with that Spider-Man has established in terms of that sort of free-form combat where you have like a lot of people around you and it's sandboxy with all your gadgets. It's almost like, when I was playing it yesterday, I'm like, wow, this is really just Spider-Man combat. Just Spider-Man combat is just a refined form of the Arkham combat. It's the same thing. It's interesting. It's funny because the issues I have with Arkham Knight are the same issues I have with the Spider-Man 2 game, is that there's a lot of times where the game stops, then you're doing something else. In the case of Arkham Knight's the Batmobile sections, which it's not like they're bad, but they're just thrown in random times. And then that's what the mission becomes. And it's like, well, that's not really what I wanted to do. And Spider-Man running around as Mary Jane. And it's like, that's not really what I want to do. So it's very interesting how this happens, I tell you. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Yeah, then I played a little bit of Castlevania Requiem, Symphony of the Night. That's, on PS4. I was just playing some more with Richter. That's super hard. Except for the bosses, because you could just use your, the rain power, whatever you call it, with the holy water. It's like the crash or whatever. And then, back to Portrait of Ruin. Just, that one also in Richter mode. I'm playing Richter mode in both right now. Just trying to get through them all. But I felt like I played something else yesterday, but maybe not. I had a really busy work day yesterday. It was pretty crazy, too, because of the hurricane down that went up from the Gulf through Houston. There's a lot of people I worked with down there, and so we had to move around some meetings. It was pretty crazy day. But yeah, I think that's it for what I was playing. So not too much, but there's stuff there. Okay, let's move on to this. Atlas Fallen coming to Game Pass, according to something there. So Atlas Fallen came out, what was it, last year? Got subpar reviews. It's an open world action adventure game made by, I want to say it's Deck 13. They made the original Lords of the Fallen. Now that we have this new one on Game Pass by a different company, but then they went on to make The Surge and The Surge 2, which I love both of those games a whole lot. Those two games are great. This game I didn't even try because it was a departure from that, and the reviews were not great. So I was like, you know what, I'll wait for it. But yeah, it's coming to Game Pass in August. You know, that's the word. And there's going to be a patch that is a whole revamp of the gameplay mechanics. So that's interesting. So and maybe revamp is a strong word. Let's say, what did someone say here? Let's see. I thought I read something that said, probably going to tie it up with the new patch coming August 6th. I read somewhere, maybe it was somewhere else, that it like kind of changes things up a bit. It'll be interesting. But I really want to try the game again because it's made by Deck 13, who made the Surge games, and I really like those. All right. Let's see. What is the next news? Actually, let me share some stuff, a little bit of today and yesterday that I completely forgot to share. One, now this is a news story after it's gone. Dun, dun, dun. Whoa, that's weird. I wonder why it's gone. Let's try this. GameCube retro achievements. Okay, so it exists. So this is that original thing is gone. So basically what happened was Retro Achievements now has support for GameCube games. There's a huge list of games. It's not every GameCube game, but it has like the main ones you'd expect. One of them, for me, that's making me want to go back for sure is the Wario World. I played that when it originally came out, but never beat it. That was an interesting time in my life when after the GameCube came out and those games came out, I was like out on my own doing things. So there was a time where I wasn't playing as much, but I still was actually. I'm really thinking back to it. But I think I was easily like, Nintendo stuff, I can wait. I think that's what it was. Anyway, supported game files, and we can see, there's a lot. I mean, because GameCube is super popular. Emulating GameCube is super popular. There's a lot of people right now that grew up with the GameCube, and that's a big deal to them. So it's just, really cool that GameCube is getting the games on the Retro Achievements. And again, the reason I love Retro Achievements, it allows me to sort of catalog and keep up with, as I'm playing games, how far I get into, because I'll move on. It's very common. It would be cool if I could have a list of every game I played in the 80s and 90s and how far I got. So I could be like, oh, this is how far I got in this game. Maybe I should try to go back and play the whole game. That would be cool. But we don't have that. All right. Let's see here. Got another item. But actually, I'm curious, as I am switching to something real quick, what GameCube games you guys like? Because the other one I was thinking of was like the original Luigi's Mansion, because wasn't that all on the original? I don't know if that has been remade yet. That's the only thing. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Close that. Yeah, I'll close that too. Okay. Sorry, this is taking me so long to get to the next piece. Okay. Hey, Jim Kellex, good morning. Okay, let me share this tab instead. Okay, Sigma Star Saga. Have you ever heard of this game? So, I think it came out in 2005 on Game Boy Advance. This was, it's funny to think how much Way Forward as a company has done, has created, continues to make. If you look back at their older games, it's like, wow, they made this. Sigma Star Saga. It was my type of game. I think because of when it came out and being on Game Boy Advance, I just did not give it enough time. It's a side-scrolling horizontal shooter that also has like leveling mechanics. Classic shoot 'em up RPG. Returns in 2025. That's a long time to wait. So key features: the GBA Classic returns after 20 years. Is that a key feature? Top-down RPG style exploration mixed with action-packed space shooter battles. Survive as a double agent for the humans in Krill, and discover the secret of the 6 planets. I don't know if that's a feature. Stunning pixel art graphics, a fantastic soundtrack. Explore using tools like Scanner, blah, blah, blah. Customize your ship, 70 different gun data items, branching story, multiple endings. Yeah, doesn't that sound pretty feature-packed? This is cool. I cannot wait for it to come out, but it's very interesting. What are they doing here? Yashante, this is their other. So it's interesting. Is Limited Run Games actually producing Game Boy Advance carts, or is it like just a little collectible? I wouldn't doubt if they're doing that anyway, because so many people still have a DS, which is backwards compatible. It is actually crazy to see how popular still like Nintendo's like Game Boy Advance, DS, and 3DS is, and they like move on. They're like, okay, now we're doing Switch. It's like, should they make things backwards compatible? I think they should. I mean, what if when the PS5 came out, Sony was like, hey, PS4 owners, if you upgrade to the 5, you get all this stuff. Or make it where if you trade in your PS4, you get, I know some stores did it, but like if Sony did it, because that was Sony's problem, is getting people to the new platform. And it kind of reminds me of like Nintendo with like, they went with the DS and 3DS for so long, and then they had to come out with the Switch because it's like, well, we got to make it portable to keep people on it. And the Switch has been out for a while, and they've delayed the release of the Switch too for that reason, because everyone's like, hey, I'm fine with my Switch. So there's got to be something that makes people want to upgrade their hardware. Curious what that will be. Anyway, that was kind of beside the point here, but anyway, I think it's super exciting that Sigma Star Saga is getting a newer release. Never thought that would happen, but excellent stuff. Okay, let's move on to some headlines and see if there's any cool headlines. Swedish game industry wants video games recognized as cultural canon. Video games, okay. That's pretty neat. I don't know what that means, but kind of don't care right now. Bandai Namco and Nike are teaming up for Tekken sneakers. Oh, that's cool. They did the same thing with Gundam. Gundam Unicorn had some cool sneakers. And then like Reebok had like aliens. It looked like a power loader. And I think they had it where it looked like Ripley's shoes. But that looks pretty cool. I mean, shoes are cool, but I think and there was a time maybe I collected shoes. Not a lot, though. I had a few Nikes I liked, but like I had the ones from I had Wesley Snipes shoes from White Man Can't Jump, for instance. Why? I don't know. Okay. Pokemon Sleep earns 100 million in first year. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys heard of that. I guess it's some app where it's to help with going to sleep. Let's see. Okay, a book about designing games meant for sharing. That's cool. That might be neat. You know what? Let me keep that handy. I might want to check that out later. Let's see. The trouble of tunnel vision gamers and developers not seeing the forest for the games. Yeah, I mean that's a thing. Okay, let's see. 2K's BioShock team is recruiting like mad for the next series entry. Very neat. Cloud Chamber has almost 30 openings to work on the game. So I'm curious if this is supposed to be a remake or a brand new like entry in terms of story. Now, BioShock 4 will take place in a new and fantastical world according to an old job listing, and it's been claimed that it's set during the 1960s in a fictional Antarctic city called Borealis. Ah, that's neat. Okay, so yeah, let's see what comes of that. I've never played through and beat a BioShock game. They were fun at first, but they kind of become a mix of mainly about story and super like there's a combat loop that you can quickly min-max or like figure out how to. I don't know. I just when I would play them, I'd kind of be like, yeah, I'll just move on. I don't know. That's the thing. Sometimes I play these games and I'm like, okay, I get the mechanics. Kind of boring. I'll move on. And I feel bad about that. Like it's not that it's rare, but it's not as often that I'll play a game and be like, oh yeah, I need to see this to the end. I don't get that all the time. Like Dragon's Dogma was one recently that I was like, oh, this game is so good. I want to see it to the end. There was a bunch this year, actually, I've beaten. So that does happen still. Okay. Let's see what else. Shadow of the Erdtree has been beaten with a dance pad. Of course it has. That's awesome. Look, if that has happened, that means this game is just like any of the others where, yeah, it seems like it's super hard, but there's a way around it. But 325 deaths, wow. 69 of them were thanks to all the falls. Wow. Okay. All right, Xbox Gaming for Amazon Fire TV launches today, so that is pretty neat. I actually have one of these Amazon Fire Sticks. I was hacking it to use as an emulator that I can plug into a TV, but I've learned that's just not as logical, rational once you get down to it as just getting one of these retro handhelds that have the HDMI out. You just plug that in and then you even have a controller. So anyway, but what's cool about this is, yeah, I need to check this out. There's a TV upstairs that I'd like to plug the Fire Stick into, test out the cloud gaming, see how it actually works. I've tried the cloud gaming often. I think for me, it was Stadia was the best in terms of how it operated for me. It was like seamless, like I wasn't streaming it. I hope Xbox gets to that. I think I want to say recently I did try a game and it was, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that's right. Wasn't I using my ROG Ally? I was out of town at an Airbnb and I was playing Lords of the Fallen and it ran really good. I have to give that a shot. I'll let you guys know if I do. Yeah, because I got this one, this Fire TV Stick 4K Max. Yeah. All right. Trend shaping the mobile gaming industry, I should say, in 2024. Let's see what that's about. Let's see. This is Zimad's Chief Product Officer, Kirill Zukovsky, and Lead Marketing Manager, Anastasia Shiloh, explore the biggest opportunities in mobile. Okay, what are unprecedented key rate levels? Let's see. The landscape of mobile game development mirrors the broader economic climate. For example, recent years have witnessed record high key rates, which determine bank lending rates and the cost of credit. Okay. As such, loans from banks are becoming more expensive and less available to businesses, with investments becoming more costly. The number of venture projects in the mobile gaming industry has declined. Okay, so that another example where what's going on, it's not just the video game industry, even though this kind of is, it's more mobile space. This stuff is different. Live operations. Let's see, one of the key trends in live ops will be the increasing importance of events supported by IP collaboration. Live ops is also expected to see an increase in the use of narrative elements, social components, and metagames, making it more appealing to players. Makes sense. Yeah, collaborations between brands and IPs. We see this a lot, more than ever now. I mean, there's so many games that come out that if it's not based in an IP, it brings in things based on an IP and stuff like that. So, like there's that really popular waifu game like Nikkei or something like that, and it added the Nier characters. That's one example. That is like where these companies know what IP will help us, and they're usually pretty good at figuring that stuff out. Hybrid monetization model, interesting. Developers of hyper-casual games that profit from advertising are now looking for ways to at least partially shift to in-app monetization. This requires them to add unfamiliar functionality such as soft paywalls and subscriptions. Conversely, owners of casual and mid-core games are forced to consider integrating advertising to at least partially compensate for the decline in revenue. Okay, and artificial intelligence, strategies for content updates. Yeah, I think a lot of what they're talking about here is just the obvious stuff. It's just more of the trend now is how to maximize that money. So that's where that's going. No way. Ever since the inception of mobile gaming, have I ever felt like I was playing something that was genuinely made for my entertainment and not to be like, well, let's make money off of entertaining this person. Whereas you could play the original Super Mario, and that doesn't feel like they're just trying to make money off of me. And that's the thing with Nintendo. They provide amazing games, and it's there doesn't need to be anything else going on. But I think what it is with this mobile space is just a way to make so much money, but that's the only focus. It's we make games, let's put them on mobile since they make a lot of money. And, then you kind of lose the point, and that's I think that's where people get mad at mobile gaming, because it's kind of hard to articulate why to get mad at it, but that's the thing. It's they want to make use of that attention we're giving to whatever it is we're giving. So yeah, and that's interesting, because for as long as mobile gaming has been around, I think someone like me and I know for me personally, I barely play games on a mobile phone. Every once in a while, I'll try one out to see if it's cool, and then it's nah, not really, and then I move on. So yeah, we'll see. And I think eventually there's going to be this convergence that occurs where it's going to be the technology, and it almost is right now on mobile phones, are going to be where you can use, I don't have one with me, but one of those telescoping controllers, Bluetooth controller. But then there's still going to be the ones that don't require a controller. But I think there's going to be some interesting convergent point that will occur, whether that's some new revolutionary technology used on a mobile phone to where it's you can easily use something that feels like a hardware controller without it taking up space. I think it's going to be something like that. It's going to streamline the experience, and it's all going to be one thing. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, and I could just look at, for instance, the recent Metal Slug Attack, I think it was called, that was released on Steam and Switch, and that was originally a mobile game. They just took out the monetization and then sold it for sale on Switch and Steam, which is interesting. That's kind of saying something about that market. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, Respawn changes Apex Legends Battle Pass pricing. Let's look at that, because I heard about this yesterday, but didn't really get to focus too much on what they were saying. Okay, so Respawn has announced a change in pricing for its Apex Legends Battle Passes, which will now only be available to purchase with the real-world money. The change will come into effect following the launch of Season 22 next month. Players previously used in-game currency to buy these passes, which will be phased out. Further changes include the Battle Pass being split in half, with Premium $9.99 and Premium Plus $19.99 tiers, which offer different in-game rewards. Before this change, players could make one payment for a whole season. This means if players want to pay for a full season, will have to pay each tier twice. Respawn said the changes were made to make the game more approachable and realistic for its global player community. So that's interesting. And look, it's saying for its global player community, which, as an American citizen, I don't know what I guess their expectations are for outside that. Maybe there is more money that could be made, or maybe there's a way for this game to last longer by doing this. Hopefully it works. Sometimes this stuff doesn't work. But it's very interesting just to see a game like Apex Legends make a big change, because it came out and it was really popular. And then it kind of just started fading away like some of these do. But I think it just kept itself around as long as it did, because it came out not too long after people understood the popularity of Fortnite. But now anyone can do this stuff. So it's very easy if you don't have a sticky model for people to kind of churn out. So, or something like that. Yeah. Well, anyway, I actually have to get going. That is going to be it for today's episode. Again, not too much going on, even with me and what I'm playing. So that might change, though, later this week. But thanks all for joining. We'll talk later. See y'all.